Good morning. Welcome to MoneyWise for this week. It's been a pleasure. Hope everyone had a good week, and we all looking forward to another great week the coming week. This week's show, we talk about how to identify a business opportunity. Many of us are entrepreneurs, and many of us out there are not yet entrepreneurs, but would like to get into this entrepreneurship journey. But we might be in a way that we don't know how to enter in this entrepreneurship journey. Therefore, we thought this week, let us have a show that we share some information on how you can be able to identify a business opportunity that will stand out there, and you'll be able to sell and be able to have clientele. Viewers, as always, we start with a scripture. Today's scripture, will take it from Proverbs 21, verse 5. And the scripture reads, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. But everyone who is hasty comes only to want. Viewers, as we today try and identify business opportunities, if you've noticed, most of the scriptures that are aligned to most topics we have week in, week out, align to the planning aspect. Therefore, even today's scripture is more or less in the same line. It talks of planning. Therefore, today's topic is more of a planning nature, because we are in a way of trying to identify a business opportunity. Therefore, the business application aligned to today's scripture is hype. You create a hype. A hype will create a movement. A hype will create a movement. If you are shouting or doing anything that just requires that the public gets back to you, you create a movement. Whilst planning will create a profit. Opportunities reward diligence and not speed. So this application still conforms with today's topic, which is how to identify a business opportunity. We'll go through to a short break as always. When we come back, we will unpack really how do we identify business opportunities as we want to get onto this entrepreneurship journey. Viewers, as always, as I always say every week, this is your show. Feel free to participate. If you are an entrepreneur out there, please contact us. We see how we can be able to discuss and make arrangements with you that you may be able to feature on this show, or we may come to your location and be able to record this show at your premises. The show has always been open for sponsorship. If you are a business entity out there, you would want to showcase your goods and services on this platform, the numbers listed on the screen are the ones you can get in touch with us, and we'll be able to discuss and obviously come up with an arrangement on how you become a part of the show. After the break, we unpack how to identify a business opportunity. See you soon. It's a new year. We all thinking of growth. We all thinking of working businesses, not in a way that we've done them in the past, but to do businesses in a different way. This year we're more of a community-focused nature. We focus mostly on small businesses. Do not feel shy to say, I've got a small timber, I only charge phones, I do this. You're a business person. MoneyWise has changed its time slot. We will now be live on Lumen TV every Friday between 10:30 and 11:30. Keep growing those small businesses. We will visit them definitely this year, or we will have you in studio so that together we can grow our economy. Welcome back, viewers. I hope we are getting glued and we are organizing all those questions that we may have for today's topic, which is how to identify a business opportunity. Many at the time, viewers, especially those that are entrepreneurial, we come to full realization and we understand I need to get into a business. But getting into a business is not just getting into a business to say, I've seen that one sell commodity X or do this, and they're in business, therefore I will also get into that business and be able to make a profit or do well in that business. Unfortunately, successful entrepreneurs, if you read world over, are people who identified a certain business niche. They went into it, did well, and today they are a story to talk or write about. This is why today's topic, we try and educate and share lessons on what has worked or what really works for you to go and be successful in a business. I'll start with some opening through observance, something that I've observed in our Zambian setup. Opportunities, business opportunities, are not scarce. What is scarce is the trend observation. Opportunities are there, business opportunities are there, but what we lack, most of us, is the trend observation. We really don't find it very easy to identify, to observe a business opportunity that will work for you. Someone may ask, what is really a business opportunity? A business opportunity is a problem. I hope we all heard that. A business opportunity is a problem. This problem, once you get into it and you are able to solve it, people will be able to pay for it. In simple, plain terms, a business opportunity is a problem. You need to identify a problem in society, in how we live. We live in society, we live amongst people, we live amongst everything else that you may think about. So within that system, that ecosystem, that society, we are called upon to identify a problem that affects those people that live within that society. If that problem is identified, then you create a solution. For instance, you move in an area that is coming up. People are building houses. It's just a plain area. There was just a bush there. People have bought plots there. They have houses there. If you've got an entrepreneurial mindset, quickly you will think to say the most important thing as people are settling there, people will need to eat. And therefore you'd open a shop where you sell food and stuff like that. Then you've identified the problem that was there and tried to solve it. Therefore, most of us, as we get into business, sometimes or many other times, especially those that fail in business, do not identify a distinct problem that they will be able to solve. In my experience of working with entrepreneurs for the last 8 to 10 years now, the biggest challenge I have found is, as I said, opportunities are always there, but what is scarce is that trend observance. We don't want to observe personally. As you observe, you also weigh what are your strengths, what makes you tick, or what would make you do well in that business. The biggest challenge we've had is we want to do what everyone else is doing. The previous example of the one I gave, in an area people are building houses, you find someone has opened a shop, you also go and open another shop to sell food. Meanwhile, there are many other things that have remained that you can jump on so that you distinguish and become a distinct entrepreneur, and you are able to do good in that line of business. Today, I will show you how to train your eye to observe what or how to identify a business opportunity. How does a real business opportunity look like? How does, I can see someone I think tried to call in. You can still try and call us. The numbers are on the screen. The numbers are 077 732 9385 or 076 329 9526. You can also drop our questions. I can see there is viewership. People are following on our Lumen TV Facebook page. You may drop your questions there should you have any challenges to call in. What does a real business opportunity look like? As I mentioned earlier, a real business opportunity, visually, you can see, as I said, is a clear problem. As I said, someone has moved into a new area. You want to know, or you've seen to say people are building in this area. Surely they will need to eat. Therefore, you need to put a shop out there. So a clear problem should exist, and you should identify it by the observance that I mentioned. The problem that you identify, are you sure that it will be paid for? Obviously, yes. As I've given a good example of eating, all of us need to eat regardless of the situation. Therefore, in your business research, or when you are trying to find out what sort of a business you are going into, whatever problem you are able to find, which you have a solution for, you should also make sure people will be able to pay for. It has to be practical also. So the good example I'm giving, everything you put it together, you mold it together, it gives you an answer at the end of the day. Because firstly, you will see to say people are building in this area, and these people need to eat. Then you create a practical solution. Again, it's about, when I take my goods or services in there, will I be able to make a margin? Clearly, if it's a new area, there is no one else selling groceries and stuff, obviously you will be making profit. Therefore, when you identify that part, then you've identified a problem that you should be able to offer a solution to. Another angle we can look at, trying now to unpack each of the four things that I gave earlier. The clear problem that I mentioned of that you identify to say there is a clear problem here. The solution that you are giving should be able to be convenient to the surrounding, to the society that you are offering that solution to. It should also not be of very much high cost, because what you are offering is a solution to that clear problem that you identify. Therefore, everything should work in a manner that it works for the society that you are catering for. You need to look at the demand also. Will customers be able to pay for this service that I want to offer now? the important distinction here is, like the example I'm giving of starting a grocery store. In a way, for instance, as I mentioned, to say you move into a new area, you are the only shop there. You need to make sure to say, whatever, say there are 5, 6 homes, whatever you are selling should be able to sell and sell in time so that you don't have wastage and stuff like that, and you are having delays in being able to sell your goods or whatever you are selling there in time. Therefore, it also has to be timeless. In summary, I think maybe some of us missed the first point. Today's topic is about identifying a business opportunity. And to do this, if you are not yet in business, even if you are in business, you know, with businesses, we continuously continue to evolve so that we can grow. Therefore, my definition of how to identify a business opportunity would be, you need to have an observance of an eye. You need to see what really will society, or does society need? What problem is happening in society that I may be able to sort out in the interim? To make the learning today's topic clearer, I keep aligning to an example to say, here is a new area, plots are being sold there. People will need to start staying there. They are building houses, they are moving into that area. When they move into that area, the clearest problem or the most immediate problem that most of us or any sound entrepreneur will think of is those people need to eat, because that's a daily activity. So now, when you as an entrepreneur set up that grocery store, that shop, you also have to be mindful from your business perspective that whatever operations or how you run that shop should be in a manner that it's convenient for those that want to buy. This adds this whole thing together and gives you leverage for you to also make a margin, for you to also make a profit in your business. Therefore, it's not, viewers, it's not just a matter of I saw X do this kind of a business, let me also get into that business. This issue has led many or most entrepreneurs in a situation that we fail to grow, or our businesses will not make money because we really haven't taken much time to have a trend eye to observe what are the trends, what is out there that I can get into that will be able to make me money while I solve a problem in society. So firstly, before you even raise any capital for me, is do this little component of research, of having an extra eye of observance out there to look out for problems that exist, that when you offer a solution, it will be able to work for you as a business person. Another thought would come in to say, but there are businesses of the same nature, and players continue getting in those same businesses. Does it mean those people are not identifying opportunities to start some sort of their new invention and get into business? Even then, even if it's that scenario, there is multiple shops, the example I keep giving, there's multiple shops in an area that people are starting to build. You need to be distinct. You need to distinguish. You need to do things differently. You still need to identify a business opportunity. For instance, this shop that you found opened already in this location, in this society, maybe was not giving out plastics when people shop. You may see that an opportunity, because once you create something that your competitor is not doing, then you pull whoever customer was going to that shop into your shop. And therefore, it works to your advantage and your business scales. Therefore, always whether we are introducing a new product or good or whatever in our business, there has to be an element of having that extra eye for observance, to see in whatever you see in business, at whatever point, there is always a problem to solve. Otherwise, as I've been mentioning it, we would have only had single type of businesses. But businesses continue to get into the very same sectors and continue to compete. But what sets them apart, or what makes them different, is what they identify to say, this my competitor doesn't do. Therefore, when I come in, we are in the same type of businesses. We all have shops, which we sell food. Therefore, me, I'll operate differently because I have identified an opportunity that the person I found already selling is not doing. Not very easy to see, and I notice this is a very big challenge and something that most of our entrepreneurs struggle with out there to just make it work. Therefore, with today's topic, I hope we all pick one or two things on how we are able to identify these business opportunities and be able to solve these problems that ultimately keep us in business and make us make the money that we need to. Viewers, we'll be taking a short break. As always, please feel free to get through. This is your show. If you are an entrepreneur, please come through. Give us your views on how you identified the problem and how you are solving that solution, and how you continue to continuously evolve and grow so that you continue solving those problems and be able to continue making that money. See you after the break as we continue on today's topic. It's a new year. We all thinking of growth. We all thinking of working businesses, not in a way that we've done them in the past, but to do businesses in a different way. This year, we more of a community-focused nature. We focus mostly on small businesses. Do not feel shy to say, I've got a small timber, I only charge phones, I do this. You are a business person. MoneyWise has changed its time slot. We will now be live on Lumen TV every Friday between 10:30 and 11:30. Keep growing those small businesses. We will visit them definitely this year, or we will have you in studio so that together we can grow our economy. Welcome back. I hope we have gathered those lovely questions for us on how we identify business opportunities and how we are able to solve these different challenging things within our society, within our ecosystem where we live. Next, now, I'm going to try and put it in the Zambian context as a country, through my observance, obviously, and seeing what happens in the market, to try and help those outside, our viewers who are watching this show live, to try and help you. If you're already an entrepreneur or become to be an entrepreneur, just how do you identify where the opportunities lie in the Zambian context? I have broken it down, tried to break it down in four parts, which I'll try to unpack and explain. While we do this, viewers, continue trying to send us your questions, your suggestions, anything that you may think of based on today's topic, or anything outside of today's topic, as long as it's entrepreneurial and obviously maybe it talks about your credit affairs and debt matters. We'll be able to try and assist you and answer you on how you navigate some of these things. Where opportunities hide in Zambia, in the Zambian context. Now, these are general terms. We are explaining it in a general way so that you try and get that general understanding and apply it to what is really happening on the ground. I will start with the first point. You look at the frustration. I've put it in this manner, contextualized it in this manner, saying the frustration mapping. Remember, we said a business opportunity lies in a problem. So when you look at the frustration mapping, question yourself, where are people complaining repeatedly? In society and how we live, you can see where are people complaining repeatedly. 2, as I said, there may be other businesses already in that space that you may think of getting in, or you're already in. You will now scan to say, with these services or with what we sell, where do I see a lot of people being unreliable? What makes customers complain about this service? That if I went in, I may be able to do it differently. Aligned to that, because once people are complaining, obviously it's something that takes away a lot of their time and stuff like that. You also look at what wastes people's times. Maybe if again, as we gave that shop example, if our shop is the only one in that place, people need to queue up in there. How can I do this differently? If I open the shop, maybe I need to have, if there's only one counter of a cashier there, maybe I need to have 3 or more counters. Then people will say, when I go in that other shop, I'll be able to be served quickly and I'll buy my goods or whatever I want, bread or whatever. I'll be able to buy this very quickly and come out. As I gave an example towards the end before we went on the break, the other issues would be maybe service. When I buy something, I'm not giving a plastic bag and stuff like that. Can I also just try and do better than the other shop? Then I'll be able to pull those customers because I've identified the problem and I'm offering a solution. Another element that in a Zambian context would help you identify these opportunities is the money flow. You scan around and look at businesses out there in Zambia. What businesses? I picked a few that I can see to say, in these sectors, even if the economy is biting or we are in a hard time, these sort of sectors will always have money circulating within those sections. One of the sectors is the food industry, agriculture. That sector, no matter how crowded it is, even if you go in there, I usually like to take time to go out and see what happens with other entrepreneurs. If you go, say, to Soweto market, city market areas, those sides, you find that a certain street, maybe 50, 20, 30 stores in that same very line, everyone is selling, say, potatoes. Then you ask yourself, but why would everyone go into the same line of business? Added to that, there is a quick answer to say, for these people to still be within this business, they obviously sell every day. Therefore, certain sectors, no matter how difficult it is or how crowded it is, there will always be a money spinner or there will always be money flowing there. So you look at that sector, weigh your strengths and jump into it, because you know to say money always flows in this sector regardless of whatever situation we are in. The transport sector is another sector that you may look at. Transport will always be needed. We all have to move to be economically viable, to operate, not just economically viable, even from a social aspect. If you are sick, you need to go to the hospital, you need transport. If you need to go to church, you need to do what? You need to move at some point and you need to pay for transport. So the transport sector will always be there, including moving the very first topic that I spoke about. To move food from the farms to the marketplace, there has to be some sort of transport used there. Therefore, some of these sectors, regardless of how the situation is, they'll always be there. But one thing I need to mention, viewers, is when you identify these opportunities, again, look at your strengths. For example, if, as I'm saying, you go into the transport sector, the transport sector comes with its own dynamics. It has challenges of its own, like any other sector, even in agriculture, as I said. It has its own challenges. So even as we look at where the money is flowing in terms of different sectors, we also need to weigh our strengths. Firstly, as an individual, you, the entrepreneur who would want to go into that line of business, are you born for it? Do you have the strength to be in that business? Because every business comes with its own challenges. For instance, if you are to go into the transport sector, you realize to say whatever mode of transport you use comes with its own challenges. A car may break down, a car needs to be serviced and stuff like that. Are you able to handle those sort of challenges that come with the transport sector? Before you get excited to say, no, these sectors, they are all paying, therefore even if I go in, I'll also do well. You firstly need to know and weigh yourself to say, will I succeed in this sector? If the answer is yes, well and good. You are free to get into it. Housing. Though capital intensive, but housing is one of those sectors that also will always be there. But before I continue on housing, I think I've got a question here on our Facebook page. Yes, Esther Mpanisi is asking us, what simple research methods can someone use without spending a lot of money? Esther, good question. And one thing I can tell you is we are living in a very, very, I think this is one of those generations you can call golden. Because this generation, I think, as we may call them, maybe the millennials and the Gen Zs, those people born between 1980 to date, I think we've had so much invention in the world with the coming of the internet. I think research is on your fingertips. Today, if you're going to say you suffer or struggle for anything, I really then don't know which times you are living. Information about anything and everything is on our fingertips. I think information can be gotten anywhere. I think what maybe would be a bit of a challenge is just that maybe the technicalities surrounding some of this information that we get. But information in terms of research methods, Esther, there is a whole lot of varied places you can get to. Your social media is one of them. These days we've got digital artificial intelligence tools out there that you can use. You ask it varied questions, Zambia specific. It should be able to give you. It will give you, yes, bulky information. How you churn it or how you make it in a manner that is understandable, that becomes maybe another dimension. But in terms of research methods, as I've said, Esther, we are living in a very, very good time. That information is almost anywhere. Utilize a lot of social media, utilize a lot of these artificial intelligence tools. I think some of these questions will be answered. And obviously for your learning also, you will get a lot of learnings and be able to do well in your business. Therefore, research methods these days, I don't think there is any excuse. The two main things I can give you is many social media platforms. It can be anything. It can be Facebook, Meta, TikTok, or whatever. As long as it's social media and there is an audience there, there is always information as per things that I'm discussing about to explain to you or even identify business opportunities. You don't really need to go out there to say what is not in Woodlands or Chilenge or wherever. Just by being on social media, I think you can be able to see on what's happening in Chilenge and what yes, a physical view is important, but from a general understanding, I think social media will give you some sort of idea on what has to be done in that particular place. And then maybe you can do your own physical research methods. Research methods are not, yes, there is when it gets at an advanced level, maybe you want to sample certain things, you want to put mathematical or accounting models in there, then that becomes now a bit more complex, obviously, and a bit costly. But for a small to medium-sized entrepreneur, I think it really can work just using these platforms that I've mentioned to get the information that you need so that you can be able to identify that business opportunity and jump into it. As I was discussing earlier, another opportunity where money is always flowing, though capital intensive, is housing. Accommodation, we all need to live somewhere. Therefore, there is always a need in that sector, that even if we have a million entrepreneurs there all building houses and stuff, there will always be a need that people will need accommodation to stay. Agriculture inputs, obviously the same as aligned to food. People always need to grow food. People always need to feed their animals. Therefore, inputs also is some sort of a lucrative business that you may look at as a business opportunity to jump in. Mobile money services, we are in the digital age, as I was saying earlier. Some of these businesses with our unbanked population still at some higher level, we always need to financially include our population. Therefore, with the advent of technology, there will always be need that people have some sort of a financial system that they work with. Therefore, mobile services will also be always there as a money flow industry that you can demand on. The line on all these money flow issues I've given as I gave earlier, instead of inventing demand, for your business, some of these businesses, as I said, if you see, some of these sectors are sectors that have got a lot of entrepreneurs in them. But how do you differentiate when you get into there? The simple answer is just improve what already exists. Do things differently from everyone else that is already in that space. Another element we look at is value addition. This is where money is always moving as we continue on this topic. I see Esther has also got another question. She's saying, how can someone know if an idea is truly an opportunity or just a passion? If an idea is truly an opportunity or just a passion. Esther, as I've been going through, I have tried to go through this question you've asked now. An opportunity, as I said, an opportunity is a problem. Is a problem. You notice a problem out there, and then you offer a solution. So you notice. So when you say to differentiate between an opportunity and a passion, so a passion from my understanding would be something that you like. That's something that is inherent in you. So, for instance, Esther, you may be good at, let's say, selling food. And then you live in an area where there are transport challenges. You live in an area that buses don't reach much. Yes, your passion is to open a restaurant there. But is that the immediate need at that particular point? So you weigh between the two. You clearly know to say, in this area that I stay in, people struggle to go for work. When one bus comes, it goes, then it will come maybe after 30 minutes and stuff like that. So the immediate problem in that area at that particular point is the transport situation. So for you, if your passion was cooking, having a restaurant, you go into that, you open a restaurant. Sometimes, yes, much as food is something that is always needed, sometimes you may not have people be able to buy what you want. We seem to have a challenge, I think, with lines. We seem to be having people trying to call in, but numbers keep dropping. Like I said, viewers, you can drop your message on our Facebook page if that's the case. But I can see there's about 3 or 4 missed calls here. People have been trying to call in, obviously, to get through and ask questions. You can even maybe drop an SMS on the lines that are put there, so that we can be able to answer your question. As I was saying before I answered Esther, how you now go, for lack of a better term, how you go and win the market. Most of the sectors, as I mentioned, those sectors that there are always people in, most of these sectors, from my experience being in this space for almost a decade now, is what makes, remember the frustration part that I mentioned, what makes most of us not be happy with the service is that most of the small businesses, especially at small business level, we have not taken much time to invest in structure, in systems, reliability, and obviously accountability. There is that big void that if you jumped into any of those businesses that I mentioned, which is food, transport, housing, mobile money services and stuff like that, and you just did things a bit different with what everyone else is doing, that is another business opportunity on its own. These businesses operate, but when you go in there, from now the element of you, it can't be always inventing a new thing. The easiest businesses to get into are businesses that are already there. But if you are going to do well, what will make you stand out? Here's an example, viewers, that I would like maybe an answer from. You can call in, you can drop a message, you can send us an SMS. Is you notice, like I said, most of these businesses, there are a lot of players in there. As I've come today with a shop example always, in our localities, in society that we live, we find that if you live in this, maybe I stay in Kabwata or Chilenje or whatever, you may be in a street, but maybe there are 4 or 5 small shops in there that are selling groceries. 4 or 5 shops in one street. But what makes you, or what makes the one who makes the money the most in that street to make money? Think about this. Try and drop me an answer on our Facebook page, on where we live, or you can try and call us on the numbers that are listed on the screen, or send us an SMS so that we can see what are your thoughts, or what are your suggestions, and how are you finding the problem. As we keep saying, viewers, this is your show. This is your show you can feature on. This show is not only studio based. If you would want us to come to your location, you can call us on the numbers that are on the screen, or come to our offices at Lumen TV in Woodlands, next to St. Mary's Mary Queen of Peace Secondary School. Come and see us. We'll be able to discuss, package something, and you'll be able to be featured on this show. After the break, we conclude on today's topic on how to identify a business opportunity. See you soon. It's a new year. We all thinking of growth. We all thinking of working businesses, not in a way that we've done them in the past, but to do businesses in a different way. This year, we're more of a community-focused nature. We focus mostly on small businesses. Do not feel shy to say, I've got a small can timber, I only charge phones, I do this. You are a business person. MoneyWise has changed its time slot. We will now be live on Lumen TV every Friday between 10:30 and 11:30. Keep growing those small businesses. We will visit them definitely this year, or we will have you in studio so that together we can grow our economy. Welcome back. Today's show has been interesting. A lot of questions coming through. I see some people still trying to call, but they are unable to come through. Please, as Mary has done from Kalulushi, please don't drop us an SMS. Mary has just sent a question from Kalulushi. She's asking, what financial mistakes should people avoid when spotting opportunities? What financial mistakes should people avoid when spotting opportunities? Now, as I said, Mary, I think you heard me answer Esther, something almost in the same line. Opportunities are identified, as I said, in our times now that we are living. This is a golden era. You really don't need to do much. You really don't need to put in a lot of money to identify these opportunities, because you've got so many avenues that you can find these opportunities. Therefore, at observance stage, when you are observing, when you are finding out about these opportunities, go in, especially if you're a small to medium-sized entrepreneur, go in at a very cost-effective manner. And as I told Esther earlier, your two big tools for now is social media. Obviously, you're on social media for other things, but also use it to identify business opportunities. The other way is word of mouth in society. As you move around, you go to church, you go to work, you go to the market. As you are moving around, you are able to hear or see something that, if it's done in that area, that place, will be able to create a solution for people. Also use the internet. As I said, we live in a digital time. Therefore, a lot of questions we have about what happens around us. There are even artificial tools these days that you ask questions. You ask it, what sort of opportunities? Obviously, yes, as I said, some of this information that you get is bulky and doesn't really narrow it to the answer that you want. But at least you have an idea. To answer, I think, your question in summary, when you are researching and trying to spot opportunities, I think work around a system that you spend the least. You don't put in a lot of money. Remember, in business, all costs, be it, if it's a big business, they will call such a cost research and development, probably, obviously, to find out where else can they put money to make more money. But at small to medium size level, I always encourage people. Yes, a lot of things may not be in how you research and stuff like that. But by all means, please try and use the most cost-effective methods. As I've given, there are methods that even just word of mouth, asking other people to say, there, my friend, where you stay. How is this situation? Here where there is this, how is that? Therefore, getting answers or spotting opportunities should be something that can be done in a seamless manner. That doesn't really require you to really risk yourself and put a lot of money up front just to find out if something will be able to work. I hope I answer your question, Mary. If you're not clear, you can still drop a question even after this show. We will be able to answer you on next week's show. As I was moving on with the show, the last part of how to identify, I think more or less aligned to what Mary asks us, is the mindset barriers. As I said, that idea is identified by we as individuals. And what plays around what makes us to make decisions or not is the mindset. We tell ourselves this cannot be done or that can be done. Therefore, the mindset barriers also have to be worked on now individually. Waiting for the big idea. You keep waiting to say, no, I need to think of a big idea, then I'll get into business. That will not take you anywhere because big opportunities start small. Then coping without understanding. Something you are not versed, something you don't understand very well, you want to jump onto that business. That will not work. Confusing busy market with profitable market. Viewers, I think today I've tried to unpack how you identify a business opportunity. I would like to thank each and every one of you for being participatory, asking those important questions. Let us continue on the same trajectory on this show. Let us continue asking all the important questions, because when we ask together, we learn, and we know better on how to identify opportunities and be able to run our small businesses even better. Viewers, as we conclude, today my thought for the week, the coming week that I'll leave you with is, when you sit, are you really thinking of that big solution business-wise for Zambia? When we all sit, are we solution-driven to think of that big opportunity that lies in front of all of us to create a solution for society, for the economy, and the world at large? It's been a pleasure hosting today's show. We hope to see you next week again as we unpack another topic, as we continue on our entrepreneurial and personal journey in terms of being financially free. Have a blessed week. To my cousins in the Eastern Province, enjoy your Nchwala, drive safely, and come back in one piece. See you next week as we continue with another topic. Bye.